All right. Well, good afternoon, all. I'd like to welcome everyone to this meeting of the Boston Art Commission. My name is Alexandra Paul Zotov, and I'm the Public Art Registrar within the Mayor's Office of Arts and Culture. In this capacity, I'm also the Administrator of the Boston Art Commission. Let's just take a moment to update our names and our pronouns, as well as make sure we're all muted. In accordance with the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Executive Order suspending certain provisions of open meeting law, we are conducting this meeting virtually. As a reminder, this has been extended through 2027. To ensure public access to the deliberations of the Boston Art Commission, the public may join this meeting through telephone and video conferencing. For those of you with us today, this meeting is being recorded and closed captioning is available. You may access it at the bottom of your screen. Next slide, please. The Mayor's Office of Arts and Culture and the Boston Art Commission believe that public art is any work installed in a publicly accessible space where they can be experienced by all for free. For transparency and community input, artworks proposed for the City of Boston are reviewed and discussed at a public meeting of the Art Commission on a regular, usually monthly basis. Working together with the Public Art Team and the Mayor's Office of Arts and Culture, the BAC is an independent board composed of 2 ex officio and 7 volunteer community members appointed by the mayor. The BAC has the exclusive authority to approve and commission artworks intended to be added to the city's collection or be placed on city property. The Public Art Team in MOAC facilitates the Boston Art Commission public meetings, manages all phases, daily operations, and duties related to public art projects or proposed for the City of Boston property in collaboration with the Boston Art Commission, community members, and our other colleagues at the City of Boston. And here's just our team.
Thanks, Paul. Welcome, everyone. I call this public hearing to order at 4:36 p.m. Today, the Commission is meeting to hold its monthly public meetings, which are generally held on the second Tuesday of every month, and we hope you'll continue to join us. We engage in discussions about public art in Boston in order to foster the creation and collection of artworks that reflect the people, ideas, histories, and futures of Boston, which is located on the traditional homeland of the Massachusetts people and the neighboring Wampanoag and Nipmuc peoples. We acknowledge the atrocities committed against Indigenous peoples, all of the communities that have been subsequently harmed, and the ways in which colonialism has created systemic oppression. We recognize the continuing presence of these communities and the Indigenous peoples represented in the city's residents, in addition to those in the diaspora. We also recognize that Boston exists as a result of the forced labor and economic extraction from enslaved African Americans. Now I'll take roll call of commissioners to confirm a quorum. After I say your name, Commissioner, please say here. James Mason is unable to be here tonight. Caitlin Lowry.
Here.
Kenny Muscari.
Here.
Abigail Norman.
Here.
Ian Altavier is unable to be here tonight. Diana Fernandez-Bibo.
Here.
And Nigel Jacob. He wasn't able to join us, but we do have a quorum. On this slide, you'll see today's agenda, which is also posted publicly on the city's website, boston.gov. We'll now take a few minutes to review last month's meeting minutes. Are there any comments or modifications any commissioner would like to make? Hearing none. Could I have a motion to accept the minutes from the March meeting?
I move to accept the minutes from the March meeting.
Thanks, Abigail. Do I have a second?
I second.
Thank you, Diana. After I say your name, Commissioner, please say yes if you agree with the motion. Diana?
Yes.
Caitlin?
Yes.
Kenny?
Yes.
Abigail?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. The motion passes. I'll now turn to Paul, who'll highlight presentations for public review, and Birgit Worster, who will give the director's report.
Thanks, John. Today, we're going to be, our first item on the agenda is We Belong, a long-term artwork in the accessioning phase for City Hall by Yu-Wen that is being raised by the City of Boston, Mayor's Office of Arts and Culture. The second is an artwork entitled Colors Meant to Hold Us, a long-term mural also in the accessioning phase for Vine Street, BCYF, and Roxbury by Destiny Pollard. Palmer, also raised by the City of Boston and the Mayor's Office of Arts and Culture. And the third project on the agenda is Amulet, a temporary installation, a final design addendum for City Hall by Rhea Vedro, proposed by the City of Boston and Mayor's Office of Arts and Culture. And then this month we have administrative review and recommendations. So the two projects that are here are the Boston Press Photographers 2025 Pictures of the Year exhibit, which is a temporary exhibition in the final design phase for Christopher Columbus Waterfront Park in the North End by the members of the Boston Press Photographers Association and proposed by the Boston Press Photographers Association. And then our final item on the agenda is Sonic Titan, a long-term mural as part of Canvas of Culture in the final design phase for New Mission High School in Hyde Park by Joe Wardwell. Also raised by the City of Boston Mayor's Office of Arts and Culture. Now I'll pass it off to Birgit.
Thank you, Paul. I'm very happy to share that we have a new Chief of Arts and Culture officially. Joseph Henry has been selected as the new Chief in the Mayor's Office of Arts and Culture. Joseph is a designer, curator, and urbanist whose multidisciplinary career spans cultural planning, urban design, and public service. Prior to his appointment as the chief of the Mayor's Office of Arts and Culture, Joseph served as the director of cultural planning for the City of Boston, so he's been with the team for a bit. And in this role, Joseph played a pivotal role in shaping the city's creative economy by leading projects that prioritize cultural infrastructure and community engagement. Through his leadership, Joseph ensured that arts and culture remained at the heart of Boston's urban development, securing long-term investments in the city's cultural infrastructure. We look forward to Joseph continuing this work across MOAC programs and initiatives. And I'd also like to take a moment to thank Kenny Mascari for his work over the past year as interim chief. Kenny will continue his work with MOAC as the new senior advisor for creative economy and will continue to hold the Mayor's Office of Arts and Culture seat on the Boston Art Commission. Thank you. And thank you. I also want to share that this will be Public Art Registrar Paul Zotoff's last Boston Art Commission meeting, as she will be leaving the Mayor's Office of Arts and Culture at the end of the week. Paul's work with the public art team over the past few years has been instrumental in developing and clarifying processes and best practices for caring for the city's public art collection and administration of the Boston Art Commission. Her work to ensure conservation and care of the city's collection, including the significant project management done to restore Webster's Replying to Hayne by George Healy in the Great Hall at Faneuil Hall, illustrates Paul's dedication and tenacity to see complex projects through. Paul, you will be so missed by the MOAC team, and we look forward to future and new collaborations with you in your next endeavors. And I'll just pass it to you, Paul, to say a few words.
Thanks, Birgit. I appreciate the moment. It's truly been such an honor to serve the City of Boston in this capacity, my hometown. This role has really shifted my understanding of the impact of public art from individual projects to a more expansive definition, one that brings in the contributions and labor of so many people, from artists to engineers to writers to photographers to the people who walk by something every day. Much of my work has been focused on strengthening the foundation that we have and creating systems that support not only how we commission, but how we steward what we have. As Birgit mentioned, a huge core part of that has been operationalizing the preservation of the collection as a standard city service and leading the conservation of Webster's Reply to Hayne, an interdepartmental effort across the Mayor's Office of Arts and Culture, property management, the federal government, and the small businesses within Faneuil Hall. Through that process, we were able to successfully negotiate the insurance claim and ultimately save the city over $1 million while ensuring that their work received the level of care it requires, including the addition of a new lining to the back of the 30-foot canvas. If you'd like to learn more, I encourage you all to download the Bloomberg Connect app and watch an in-depth video with conservator Gianfranco Pocobene alongside the art handlers and National Park Service staff who made it possible. In the coming weeks, that platform will also feature new insights by artists who are shaping our current commissions, a video initiative we had the opportunity to produce last fall that took us into artist studios as they prepared for a project or outside to share more about something that they were building. Caring for the collection in this capacity has also meant advancing documentation standards, from commissioning multimedia documentation to refining how we capture artistic intent, conceptual development, and interpretive text. This has led to the Care and Commissioning Alignment Framework, which introduces standard practice in how to produce maintenance, interpretation, and long-term stewardship, positioning care as something embedded within our design process. It's been really exciting to see this thinking take form through our citywide signage program, which you'll begin to see later on in this Art Commission meeting. Signage is one part of a broader effort to shape how the collection is written about, understood, and carried forward over time. And increasingly, this work is being carried through policy, ensuring that these practices are not just one-offs, but part of an essential part of how the Art Commission holds its responsibility with consistency and care. I'm incredibly grateful to the commission, staff, artists, and collaborators who have shaped this work, especially for our internal team and conservator Josh Crane. It's been such a privilege to contribute to how Boston cares for its public art and build systems I hope that will continue to hold and support it over time. I also want to acknowledge how deeply I've appreciated the generosity of perspective and vulnerability that artists working in publics open up to us. Their work asks us to see differently, to sit with complexity, and ask questions. I feel incredibly fortunate to have learned alongside artists such as Wen-Ti Tsen, Lamerchi Fraser, Tori Fair, Yu-Wen and many, many others. Thank you for trusting the city with your vision, and may we continue to carry that forward with the care it deserves. I'd like to end with one of my favorite quotes from Ed Ruscha, that says, "Good art should make you say, huh, wow, not wow, huh?" I hope we can continue to make space for that kind of curiosity and an expansive joy and an expansive understanding of what public art can do, for the questions that these work, the ways that ask us to stay open in challenging moments, as well as the unexpected, the serendipity of discovery, for beauty, connection, and for belonging. It's not a small responsibility, and I feel really, really grateful to have an incredible team that will continue this forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Paul. Carrying on with the director's report, artist Wen-Ti Tsen and project supporter Lydia Lowe and I spent an afternoon earlier this month walking proposed sites for the worker statues in Chinatown. Together, we reviewed locations and preferred siting to inform further investigation by a consultant to be engaged to review site feasibility and foundation designs at 4 different proposed locations for worker statues. Lamerchi Fraser and her team are currently on site, I think as we speak or within the next few hours, at Engine 42 in Eggleston to determine the 3 additional color presets for her sculpture, Call and Response Radiating Safety, with special attention to significant events, holidays, and symbolic colors that are valued by the firefighters stationed at Engine 42. And Amber Torres is out there on site with that team this evening. A canvas of culture installations for spring 2026 are soon underway, building on lessons learned in the program's first year and refining our approach to site conditions. Installations kick off this month, beginning with Joseph Wardwell's interior lobby painting at New Mission High School. Additional projects are moving into production for summer, including Quest 9's mosaic and vinyl murals at Sarah Roberts Elementary, as well as acoustic panel installations in the Mildred Ave cafeteria designed by Ms. Akar. We continue to strategize the best applications across the sites, with several projects still in design and school engagement phases. For projects and commissions in design, last month, project manager Amber Torres conducted a site visit to Copley Square to initiate site selection and design consultation services with Sasaki for the 2 additional Copley Square projects, How Many Kinds of Love by Danielle Gross-Georges and Love is Reply by Jessica Grant and Diana Weissman. The goal is to develop preliminary designs by this summer. For Circles of Light, Nature's Neighbors, and Beyond These Horizons by Priscilla de Carvalho at Adams Street Branch Library in Dorchester, we are working with our partners at the BPL to finalize the installation plans for all proposed artworks. This includes ongoing consultation with BRM Productions to ensure alignment with the artist's vision and site requirements. There are currently 6 canvas of culture murals in design and the design review phase in partnership with Boston Public Schools. Students, and along with BPS administrators and teachers, are working closely with the artist to refine each design and ensure strong connections to their school communities. These projects will be coming before the commission this spring and early summer, with some murals located inside school buildings and others in outdoor play spaces. And so I wanted to share a recent event. On Tuesday, April 7th, MOAC and the ICA staff celebrated Dana C. Chandler AMARP Day with AMARP artists and community members. We gathered at the ICA to commemorate and honor the legacy and impact of the African American Master Artist in Residence program in Boston and beyond. Joseph Henry, Chief of Arts and Culture, delivered a proclamation from Mayor Wu declaring April 7th, 2026 Dana C. Chandler AMARP Day in the city of Boston. A big thank you to the artists and community for joining the event and to the ICA for hosting a tour of the incredible exhibit on view at the ICA through August 2nd. And now we'd like to share an introduction to a program currently in development, as Paul mentioned, to create graphic standards for the city's public art collection signage. Here to share more about that work is Chris Grimley from Signals, MOAC's signage design consultant. And Chris, I will pass it off to you.
Thanks, Birgit. Do I ask you to go forward when, or who pushes the forward button?
You can, I think Phil is driving,
Okay,
but you can just cue him when you need that.
So yeah, if we can go back one just before we get here, I'm very pleased to be able to present this to you all this afternoon. This is a project that Birgit, Paul, and a host of stakeholders have been looking at and reviewing over the last several months with the goal to implement consistent signage throughout the city's collection of public art. So if we go to the next slide, basically the scope of the project is to make a consistent signage to serve this collection across different site conditions. So we have a number of ways in which things hit the ground and grounds that they hit. Having signage that is accessible both to residents, to artists, and to visiting public. And right now we're finished with the development of our design strategy, and we're moving towards a fabrication RFP. Critical to this, though, in the next slide is to ensure that there is a message to the city about public art. So each sign will carry the artist's own words. We are making clean, clear, accessible typography that gives the artist statement and credit where it's due. We are looking into issues of accessibility that include detectable bases, high contrast, bilingual texts, not limited to things here, but if you have any comments, we would love to hear. We have met with Boston Parks and Rec, with the Conservation Department, with language access and accessibility. A large part of this is obviously going to be implementing the project, and there are two parts of implementation on the next slide. One is, oh, it jumped over something. Anyhow, we shall see if it goes back. That's fine. We can go to that one. So I'll just say there are two parts to this. One is determining what kind of site you have. The other one is actually designing the sign. And so for the signs themselves, we are using the City of Boston's brand guidelines. Oops, that should say Laura up top instead of Montserrat, but the two fonts there are Montserrat and Laura. So the serif font is Laura and the sans serif is Montserrat. The artwork's title is given prominence at the top. The artist then follows, and then three text blocks, one which is the artist statement, one which is a quote from the artists themselves, and then an artist bio. We're also including and looking at permanent online resources for translation and further information, so that QR code down at the bottom would provide that. This is a version of a larger sign implementation, so it's 26 by 22 inches. Sorry, 26 by 24 inches. If we go to the next one, we've got oh, there's that one. They skipped. So here we've got some mock-ups of a couple of things. One is the route to figuring out what you need to do to get the sign implemented, and the second one is an online design tool so that you all or the artists themselves can visualize what the sign might be before it goes out. So we're trying to do this using open source software, so we don't need to come back to a proprietary program to ensure that these can be made efficiently and effectively. The next slide, yep, is a finish system. So we've got three proposed finishes here. Each one of them has their own kind of presence in the landscape. So painted black steel, which occurs in urban hardscape contexts, a brush steel, which acts as a neutral background in contemporary settings, and then a US 10B rubbed bronze, which matches City Hall wayfinding, which is something that I did a few years ago while at a different studio. And that is used for historic and civic contexts. There are a number of conditions that we're exploring for how signs sit in landscape. So the next slide, whoa, these are, okay, this is wacky. We'll just bounce around. It's all good. Here's an example of one of the larger signs implemented outside Amulet. So you can see the way in which it embeds itself in the landscape. It's big enough to be recognizable. You can get the title of the piece as you move towards it, and then giving enough space and time for people to read. Next, let's see where we get. All right. Another applied example. So on the wall, next to this mural, a very simple system that just adheres the plate to the wall. Next. A different kind of application. It's sneakily hiding in there towards the base of the water basin. A smaller 12 by 26. Yep, there it is. At the Ether Monument in the public garden. Next. Jumping around again. Essentially, we have this rectangular sign at 24 by 26 inches, direct applied graphics, a removable panel that can be easily updated and maintained, and then these support bases, which change material based on where they hit in the landscape. Next. Oh, here we go. So these are a few of the typologies that we're looking at. Something that as we look at hundreds of artworks, not just ones that are coming up, but ways in which things work in open landscapes, in hardscapes and dense urban conditions, in vertical planes or on a facade, like a mural that we just saw. Next. There's the smaller edition of the Amulet. We can just keep going for a few more. Yes, and so there's an interior condition which is just mounted on a wall, and then the plinth condition, which is the historic condition where we just have a simple sign that sits close to the base of a pedestal or a basin in whatever case we find. Here's yep, you can go forward. Thank you. Another example of We Belong, you can see the larger panel sitting on the concrete column just below the piece itself. And then maybe there's one more, but I think that might be it. That's it. A little bit out of sequence, but you get the intent, and I hope that we can continue the conversation as this moves forward and we start to implement these around the city.
Chris, thank you so much for sharing
Thanks,
this with us. It will be so nice to have uniform signage for all of our projects across the city. Chris, if you don't mind, actually, before we move on to the agenda, I'm just curious if any commissioners or members of the public have any questions about signage at this point. I know we're at a good state with where this is at, but I thought it might be helpful if anyone wanted any clarification or wanted to ask a question.
I do have one question. And it has to do with the QR codes and the tie into some kind of online presence for the information. So a question probably not for you, Chris, but for MOIC staff. Does MOIC staff envision that these QR codes would each have their own page and that would tie into the map of public art online, or what is your vision for that?
I think right now the vision is that these QR codes, which would be applied, I think as Chris mentioned, so we could refresh them or restore them as needed, would link to the project pages that are hosted on the MOAC website. Each public art project has a page for recent projects, so we would have more content there. I think for older existing projects within the collection that don't have full page of content, then linking to the public art with the information there would be how we would handle that. Paul, do you want to add to that for things that are like longstanding in the collection?
Yeah, I think to Chris's point earlier, this is like a phase 1 kind of pilot program where we're kind of figuring out a lot of the way that the existing collection is interacting with the contemporary collection and all the different components that are with it. Something that we're trying to figure out is actually like how we write about the collection. So at this moment, there isn't a huge breadth of interpretive text about existing artworks. So trying to understand how those things will come together. And I think we have a couple of different pathways where, depending on the priorities of the program itself, because, you know, our collection is over 400 pieces of just purely sculpture, which is a lot to imagine us in the first round being able to do in terms of funding priorities. I think we're going to have kind of like a tiered effect and different way of thinking how we're going to actually put these signs into the world. So I know that isn't like the most answer, but I think we will take the findings from this pilot program after we install it to really understand what's realistic about how many we can get through, and then figure out where it will point to based off of that. But right now, we actually don't have a lot of writing for a lot of these things in our collection. So that's something that we've drafted kind of a request for proposals around how to write about it, but have not issued it in terms of funding priorities. But hopefully that will be released in the next year or two in order to have some kind of guidance. With Chris, one of the things that we developed as he shared out was that signage format. So I think that conceptually we'd be looking for something similar because a lot of the things in our collection are really tricky objects, like the Healy painting.
Thank you.
Thanks, Paul. Any other questions before we move on? Well, Chris, thank you so much for joining us tonight and sharing that.
Appreciate it.
We'll now move on to agenda items for review, public testimony, and commission vote. Here's how you can participate in today's meeting. If you have technical difficulties, you can ask questions in the chat and a member of staff will help you. When public testimony is requested, you can press the raise your hand icon and we'll call on you. And if you're calling in, press *9 to raise your hand. Our goal is to make this meeting a good experience for all, so please remember to keep your comments on topic, brief, and respectful of others. You can submit longer written testimony to bac@boston.gov. If you're called on, please state your name, title, program, and organization, if relevant. And our first project for review tonight is We Belong. And Paul, I pass this to you.
Thanks, John. To the 4-day session, We Belong by Yu-Wen into the City Public Art Collection. This session is completed through a deed of gift, establishing a clear and legally sound method of transfer and ownership. With this action, the work would be entered into the city's collection as a civic asset under the stewardship of the Boston Art Commission. Accompanying this deed of gift in your commissioner folders are 2 maintenance exhibits that govern the care and stewardship for this new media work, allowing us to ensure that it will be enjoyed by many in the years to come. I'd like to first begin by thanking Yu-Wen for sharing this with the City of Boston and by offering a quote by her about the artwork, which will be on its signage, as Chris mentioned. We belong is an invitation to see each other, to listen, and to recognize that belonging is something we create. Every voice, every story, every history is a part of Boston. Next slide. This light-based public artwork is composed of LED illumination and steel armature installed within the atrium of Boston City Hall. This work was created with the support of the Boston Public Art Triennial Accelerator Program and includes a robust documentation record, including artist information, fabrication details, confirmed valuation from an independent appraisal, and a care plan with material warranties, ensuring alignment with city standards for acquisition and insurance. This accession establishes a comprehensive and replicable framework for acquisitions moving forward. Together, these materials ensure that the work is not only acquired, but fully understood, documented, and positioned for long-term stewardship. And right here in this rendering, and on the next slide, you'll see the sign. And I'll just quickly read the text from there. Suspended in the atrium of City Hall, We Belong serves as a beacon that greets all who pass through this shared civic space where people convene, intersect, and encounter one another. Taking the form of a constellation, each illumination acts as a star that connects the diverse neighborhoods of Boston. Every point suggests a sign of intersection. Every point suggests a site of intersection, proposing that each community is distinct yet deeply connected. Originally conceived as a traveling project, the artwork moved across neighborhoods where residents were invited to share what belonging meant to them, shaping the work as collective expression. The phrase, "We belong here, together, guided by stars," reflects this shared authorship. Installed within City Hall, the work reframes this building not only as a site of governance, but as a place of connection, asking who belongs here and how that belonging is formed. Rather than offering a fixed answer, it positions belonging as something relational, built through presence, participation across neighborhoods, histories, and lived experience. And thank you, Vikram Valori, for this beautiful photos. Our next slide outlines the care plan. Central to this session is the inclusion of a maintenance exhibit and a detailed operation manual, which governs the care and functionality itself of the artwork. I'm very grateful for my colleague Birgit Worster for helping me sort through and recommission some additional components of it, including a kind of cover for all the wire components that were loose. These documents establish the clear protocols for inspection, repair, software management, and long-term operation, including defined rules for the city, the artists, and our technical vendors. For media-based work, this level of documentation is essential in order to make sure that it remains legible and true to the artist's intention over time. Kind of the gesture of this ascension affirms that it's the Boston Art Commission's responsibility to care for We Belong as both the physical and conceptual work. This process sets a precedent for how the city acquires and stewards complex technology-dependent artworks, establishing standards that integrate legal, technical, and interpretive frameworks. We hope that We Belong enters the collection not only as an artwork, but as a model for future acquisition.
Thanks so much, Paul. Commissioners, I open it up to you with any comments or questions.
Kenny, I just want to say this is one of my favorite pieces, and I don't get to go to City Hall as often because we are now in Court Street, but it definitely is one of my favorite pieces. So I'm glad that it will now be part of the city's permanent collection.
Thanks, Kenny. I couldn't agree more. Any others?
I'll just raise my thumb to that, Kenny and John. It's a delightful and delightful addition to the forbidding architecture of City Hall.
Diana, did you unmuted? Did you want to say something?
Kenny took the words out of my mouth. Coming in every day, it's one of my favorite pieces. I guess I do have a question for Paul and the team. Given it's the neon lighting and I'm assuming there's going to be some sort of like upkeep associated with keeping the light levels consistent over time.
Mm-hmm.
Great, thank you.
It's actually an LED.
LED, okay. Great.
So it's a lot cheaper. But within our care and commissioning alignment, we have some really interesting stipulations about the care of the new media work. We had a new media consultant that we've been working with for the past kind of half year or so that has been kind of a really incredible resource because we don't often have a lot of new media works in our collection. kind of like anomalies, but with their guidance, we've been able to work through ensuring these documentation standards, which in architecture, Diana, are much more,
Yes.
as you're familiar with, really, really robust. So it was definitely kind of a big shift for us in terms of being like, no, we actually really need all this technical documentation, as well as thinking through what happens if like a light fails and how that would be recommissioned if so, because specifically on the level of light, one of Yu-Wen's concerns, which we kind of, I think, figured out how to mitigate pretty interestingly, was what if the supplementary pieces are no longer available, and how we would kind of think through that process with her. So it's definitely really fascinating work, and has been really, really exciting to kind of figure all that out and then really understand our internal process of all the like material concerns as well as legal considerations.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Paul.
Paul.
I now would open it up to members of the general public with any comments or questions. Well, hearing none, would anyone like to make a motion to accession We Belong into the city's public art collection?
I would be happy to make a motion to accession We Belong into the city's public art collection.
Thanks, Abigail. Do I have a second?
I second that.
Thank you, Kenny. After I say your name, please say yes, Commissioner, if you agree with the motion. Diana,
Yes.
Caitlin,
Yes.
Kenny,
Yes.
Abigail,
Yes.
and I vote yes as well. Congrats to Yu-Wen. I'm so thrilled on behalf of all of us that this will now live permanently with the city. Our next project for deliberation is Color is Meant to Hold Us. And Paul, again, I'm passing this off to you.
Yeah. So this is also a unique mural, and I'm very grateful for the work of Amber Torres, who is busy on site right now, but just wanted to give her a shout out because this is not typically kind of one of our kind of commissions that we've done before. So it was a really, really unique process. But here's just a little bit more about Destiny's mural that was done for the Vine Street BCYF. So this is a vinyl mural, so technically interesting in terms of figuring out how to actually like translate an artist's vision into this medium, and then how to actually fabricate it and produce it. Sorry, Phil, could I just have the next slide, please? Thank you. And it's been really, really incredible to see the artwork actually in use by a lot of the community. Next slide, please. Yeah, and here's just a little bit more about its the site prep work that had to go through, as well as the materials that were used. Its dimensionality is pretty complex, but I think for the maintenance, we've received the necessary components in order to be able to facilitate its care properly. Next page, please. Here are just some more images of it. And for our care plan, it's a pretty straightforward visual kind of inspection. We've been working with the staff to just let them know to kind of keep an eye on it for these types of things. And every 2 years, we'll have someone come take a look at it more formally. And then in terms of cleaning, it's pretty straightforward because it is just a vinyl, but just no chemicals. And if there is some kind of wash that's needed, should be a really, really simple wipe down with just some Dawn soap. As well as maybe potentially like a misting cloth. But just, yeah.
Thanks again, Paul. Commissioners, any comments or questions? I mean, I, for one, would like to say just how striking it looks. Really interesting, unique design. I think a great addition to so many of the murals that we've been accessioning over the past several months and years. I now open it up to any members of the public who might like to make a comment or ask a question. Well, with that, would any commissioner like to make a motion to accession Color is Meant to Hold Us in the city's public art collection? Don't all jump at once.
I'd like to make a motion to accession Color is Meant to Hold Us into the city's permanent art collection.
Thanks, Abigail. Do I have a second?
I can second that.
Thank you, Caitlin. After I say your name, commissioners, please say yes if you agree. Diana,
Yes.
Caitlin,
Yes.
Kenny,
Yes.
Abigail,
Yes.
and I vote yes as well. Congratulations to Destiny. Really excited for this piece to join so many of the incredible murals that we've been accessioning recently. And now our next project for discussion is Amulet, and Birgit, I'll pass this to you.
Great, thank you, John. Today, the Boston Art Commission is reviewing the final design addendum for Amulet by Rhea Vedro, formalizing key components of the project's documentation, life cycle planning, and signage. Different than accessioning, as this is a temporary artwork, this addendum includes finalized interpretive signage design, a comprehensive de-installation plan, and this approach aligns design, interpretation, and maintenance operations to support both public engagement and civic responsibility for short-term work. Located at the north entrance of Boston City Hall Plaza, Amulet inaugurates the city's plinth program, welcoming visitors into a renewed civic space. This temporary artwork is offered as a talisman for collective safe passage, exploring the intersection of materiality and community. Over 3 years, artist Rhea Vedro, who I think might be here with us this evening, invited residents to hammer wish marks into steel panels, which she welded into the sculpture. Rising over 19 feet, the bird-inspired forms stand as guardians, protecting the city's energy. Originally developed in relation to the Boston Harbor from East Boston and now sited here, Amulet reflects Boston's evolving history and climate, inviting rumination on the past, present, and future of this site. The fabrication and process for this process, artist Rhea Vedro, who is a metalsmith, she works at the intersection of materiality and collective healing, and her research explores metalsmithing as a cultural signifier of values, power, and protection across belief systems and time. Trained first as a jeweler, her studio practice is primarily hollow form steel sculpture. The hollow concrete bases were fabricated over steel armature with chicken wire that is mechanically attached to steel pedestals on a concrete foundation, securing the sculptures at the site. The welded steel tube armatures for the sculptures are secured to the concrete bases. Steel panels incorporating textured wish marks done through the engagement process were welded over structural frame to create gesture, volume, and form. And patinas were added by the artist and sealed with coatings on site. The surfaces were sealed with intention that the surface color may change slightly over the course of the installation period. Anti-rodent nest construction with chicken wire under the sculptures is an additional ground cover, and then ground cover plantings will be added to the site through the landscape work done by City of Boston Property Management. Here's a little bit more about the materials. The structure of steel, the armature, also steel, bases, concrete, and then the paints and coatings. The care plan involves visual inspection with as seasonally and checking for any wear and tear or vandalism on the sculpture at in the install site. Once a year, there'll be a professional assessment and evaluation by our conservation expert, and then cleaning seasonally to clean up any accumulating bird droppings or debris, and weathering that may occur on the site. Here's a rendering showing the proposed signage design at the site, which would be in the planter bed at the low wall at this entrance and secured to the interior surface of the wall to avoid shuffling in that planted area. And as presented by Chris Grimley from Signals, we'll continue to develop this within the next couple of months. It will be our first installed signage from the proposed signage plan. The de-installation plan, this is a temporary work up for less than 5 years. The project eventually will be de-installed and through a one-day operation that will begin in the morning, coordinating with a team using cranes and transport vehicles to safely remove the pieces and fully restoring the plaza for public use by the end of the one-day deinstallation. And with that, I will pass it back to you, John.
Thanks so much, Birgit. Rhea, I don't want to or mean to put you on the spot, but if you wanted to share or say anything in advance of our conversation, you're more than welcome to. Of course, if you'd rather not, that's fine too. Commissioners.
Can
Oh,
you
sorry,
hear
go
me?
ahead, Rhea.
Oh, sorry, I was
Yeah.
just going to say thank you so much for this opportunity and all the hard work I know everyone is doing behind the scenes. That's all. Thank you very much.
Of course, thank you. It's
Thank
really
you.
striking, Rhea.
Oh,
Yep.
thank you.
Thank you, Rhea. Thank you for being here.
Commissioners, any questions or comments on this final design addendum?
I have a quick question. Birgit, as it relates to the landscape planting, it's quite sparse at the base of the sculptures, and I just wonder, is property management working with the landscape architect to source some material that will do a better job filling in that area, just to make sure it holds up well. It's also in a lot of shade, so it's a tricky spot to grow anything well there.
Yeah, thank you for asking, Dinah. It is a tricky spot because of shade, but property management has worked with their landscape team and they've identified a ground covering that they've used at that site that they'll be adding this spring, probably any minute, as the weather permits, to kind of fill in that site and make sure that the coverings kind of obscure the steel footings that are slightly visible in the mulch at this time. But we've been working closely with the property management team to coordinate on that. It will probably be sort of like a viney ground covering that hopefully will be much fuller than it is now to cover those areas and footings.
Any other comments or questions from commissioners? Well, hearing none, I'd like to open it up to any members of the public who'd like to make a comment or ask a question. Well, with that, I think we can make a motion. And just, I guess, a point of order. Birgit, we will vote. The motion should include and just say final design addendum.
That's correct. Yeah, it's just in
Okay.
addition to the previous final design vote.
Great. Thanks so much. So, commissioners, would anyone like to make a motion to approve the final design addendum for Amulet at City Hall Plaza?
I'm just going to jump right in and be the one who does the motions today. I'm happy to move that we accept the final design addendum for Amulet on City Hall Plaza by Rhea Vedro. And congratulations, Rhea.
I'll second that.
Thanks so much, Abigail and Diana. Commissioners, after I say your name, please say yes if you agree. Diana?
Yes.
Caitlin?
Yes.
Kenny?
Yes.
Abigail?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Rhea, congratulations. It really, really is a stunning piece. And I know you have spent many years and put a lot of work and effort into it. And it's really, really stunning. So congratulations. Our next project for discussion is the Boston Press Photographers 2025 Pictures of the Year exhibit. Paul, I'll pass this off to you to frame before Amanda introduces the project.
Thanks, John. Today, we're introducing some of the first projects to move through administrative review as part of our pilot program that we initiated in February of this year. The pilot will run through next February 2027, at which it will be evaluated and brought through as a formal policy addendum. The administrative review pilot program was designed to support a more responsive and efficient review process for projects that meet established criteria, allowing the Commission to focus its deliberation capacity on long-term complex works with lasting impact on the built environment. Rather than requiring proponents to present, project managers conduct the initial review and bring forward recommendations to the commission. This approach is intended to reduce access barriers while maintaining rigor, and we will continue refining it over the course of the pilot. In September, commissioners, you can expect kind of a summary of our summer busy season that will outline how many projects were passed through administrative review, and then we'll be able to kind of see if that helped with time. As we enter the summer months, the Commission anticipates a significant increase in application volume. So this pilot will serve as a critical tool for managing that growth, ensuring that projects are reviewed with clarity and consistency while reserving the Commission deliberation for proposals that shape the city over time. This is a procedural shift and a strategic one that aligns our review process with the evolving needs of public art in Boston. And with that, I'll pass it off to Amanda.
Thanks, Paul. The first project we'll be looking at under administrative review is from the Boston Press Photographers. Each January, the Boston Press Photographers Association holds a Pictures of the Year competition that seeks to recognize the year's best photojournalism from New England photojournalists. Thousands of photographs are submitted by local news organizations and independent photographers, and a team of independent judges selects winners across dozens of categories, including breaking news, feature stories, politics, portraiture, and more. The results of this competition are a visual historical record of the many stories that have impacted communities here in the Boston area. This year, their photos will be displayed along Christopher Columbus Park's central pathway, maintaining wheelchair accessibility inside of the park's iconic trellis and the path beside it. The placement of these photos along the pathway keeps the lawn that faces the harbor open so that the neighbors can also still enjoy the view. The team will deliver the cubes in a 15-foot box truck to the site, and the truck will only need to stand for about 20 minutes at a time to transport the cubes closer. So no street occupancy permit is required. A fire truck will park near the Atlantic Ave entrance so that the water jug weights can be filled with a pressurized hose, and the install overall should take about 3 to 4 hours. At the end of the exhibition, the installation is quite easy. The water jug's weights will need to be emptied into a drain to avoid flooding the grass, which has been advised working with the Parks Department as well. I think with that, we can pass it back to John and open up to any questions or comments.
Thanks, Amanda. Commissioners, I'll open it up in just 1 second. Can you, Amanda, I don't think it's listed here. Can you just share the exhibition dates for this project?
I'm happy to share. It's June 15th to the July 29th.
Okay, great. Thank you. Any other comments or questions from commissioners?
I actually have a question about that comes from Paul's comments, not about this project. I don't know if that should wait, John.
Why don't we vote on this and then you can ask that question after that? Is that okay?
Thank you.
I personally always really love this temporary installation. I sometimes happen upon it, but it's always extraordinarily interesting, and photographs are really moving, sometimes joyous, sometimes disturbing, not in a bad way, but it just does really bring to mind everything that had happened in the previous year. I'd like to open it up to any members of the public who might have a question or would like to make a comment. Hearing none, would any commissioner like to approve this temporary installation?
I'll jump right in and
yes, Abigail.
Seizing this role, make a motion to approve this temporary installation in the Boston Press Photographers 2025 Pictures of the Year exhibition at Christopher Columbus Waterfront Park.
Thanks, Abigail. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Was that you, Caitlin?
It was, yes.
Great, thank you. Say yes, Commissioner, if you agree with the motion. Diana?
Yes.
Caitlin?
Yes.
Kenny? You there, Kenny? Oh, Kenny says yes on the screen. Abigail?
Yes.
And I'm a yes as well. The motion passes. Now, Abigail, I'll pass to you.
Okay, thank you so much, John. Paul, when you introduced the project, you mentioned, but it flew by fast and I didn't really catch it. But I think you mentioned trying to set in motion a project to create consistent process for public art proposals. Is that correct?
Yeah, so in February, well, let's take it back. In October, we raised as an agenda item this kind of question of what is administrative review? Could it function? How could it function? And then by February, we had proposed something that I think we internally felt like was operationable for us, which was a year-long pilot program, which I'm happy to reshare with you. Again, that just kind of outlines all the criteria for administrative review. So the idea is that at 6 months, which would be in September, we'll evaluate kind of the summer and the busy season to see if it actually has addressed some of these concerns about you know, a lot of deliberation about temporary interventions that honestly don't really have that much impact in the long scale of BAC remit as like a kind of access point for folks. And then by next February, after we kind of have really worked through all the kinks, seen it in action, the team will hopefully raise it as a policy update to formally bring it in.
I see. So this is about the kind of fast tracking of temporary installations. Is that right?
Yeah, or just to not really the fast tracking on our end, but on your end, the public output of that, and just really steering deliberations to kind of be about what we're thinking about duration and remediation efforts, as well as public funding.
I can't say I totally understood that, but thank you so much. That's good.
Well, we will talk about it more on Friday at our orientation. And Abigail, I'm happy to reshare out the proposal with you, and maybe we can just spend a few minutes just to chat it through then too.
Yes, thank you so much.
Of course.
Our final project for discussion is Sonic Titan. Amanda, I pass this off to you.
Thank you. Last month, the BAC approved Joseph Wardwell's final design for New Mission High School's lobby, with the understanding that featured text would be approved through internal administrative review. The arches, if you wouldn't mind going to the next slide, please. Thank you. The arches of the entryway create a unique opportunity within this space, and Joseph has responded by incorporating bands of text throughout these areas. He worked closely with the school administrators and teachers to select and approve the featured quotes, which are drawn from figures connected to Boston and Massachusetts and center on the power of education. We have provided further guidance to ensure the text maintains strong readability and appropriate scale within the whole architectural context. Overall, this project and these quotes offer a meaningful opportunity for students to engage more deeply with the mural and connect with these ideas through both design and content. And we are thrilled for Joseph to begin his installation in the coming weeks at the end of this month. Now we can open for any comments and questions.
Thanks, Amanda. Commissioners, any questions or comments about this additional material in Joe Wardwell's work? Hearing none, I wonder if any members of the public would like to make a comment or ask a question. Okay, we can move to a motion. Again, point of clarification, did we already approve final design for this project? So should this be considered a final design addendum?
That's a great question. We did approve final design with the contingency of this text would go through administrative review. So
is it best if we just vote again as final design, or should we call this a final design addendum?
I think we could call this a final design addendum to distinguish the context of the first design and this through
Perfect.
final design is addendum staff review.
Perfect.
Thanks, Courtney.
Why don't I make this motion, Abigail? I move to approve the final design addendum administrative recommendation for Joe Wardwell's long-term mural at the new Mission High School. How's that? Do I have a second?
I second that motion.
Thanks, Abigail. Commissioners, after I say your name, please say yes if you agree. Diana,
Yes.
Caitlin,
Yes.
Kenny. Kenny says yes. Abigail,
Yes.
and I'm a yes as well. The motion passes. I know we have one last item for business, but Paul, thank you so much for all of the work that you did to support this commission. It's been such a pleasure to work alongside you and with you. You've made a huge impact on so much of the work of the past few years for the city of Boston, both in its engagement with artists, its creation and installation of new public artworks, and, as we saw many times, the long-term care and complicated long-term care of the works in our collection. So from me, thank you so much for all of your work. And if any commissioner would like to say anything, please feel free.
I just want to echo what you said, John. Alex and Paul, I feel like I only know you as the registrar here. So in my time here as a commissioner, and just been so thankful for your advocacy, your persistence in getting us all this information in such an organized way. And we're really going to miss you and miss your presence. So hope you're off to amazing things.
I'd like to add my sincere thanks for all your hard work and dedication, Paul, and your attention to detail.
Thank you, everyone. It's been such a pleasure, and you're in such incredible hands. And I'm so excited for what the future holds for all of you with Birgit's leadership and with Amanda and Amber's dedication, with Phil's support, and with our new chief in place. I'm very excited to have us at capacity now, and I'm sure we'll come across each other very, very soon.
Thanks, Paul. You'll definitely be missed. Now, would anyone, since James isn't here, who wants to make a motion to adjourn?
I can make a motion to adjourn.
Thanks, Caitlin. Do I have a
Welcome.
second?
I second the motion.
Thanks, Abigail. Please say yes, Commissioner, if you vote to adjourn. Diana,
Yes.
Caitlin,
Yes.
Kenny. Kenny says yes. Abigail,
Yes.
and I'm a yes as well. The motion passes, and now we can adjourn. I hope you have a chance to get outside. It's beautiful out, and I will see you all next month.
Thank you all
Or
so much.
Friday, let's be honest.
Friday.
Yes, see you Friday.
Bye,
Bye.
everybody. See you soon.